Are you starting to become crazy in this quarantine? Just a little? Yes, I thought so. That's why I want to share with you what we should avoid to do as INFPs and what we should do to make it easier. Hey guys, I'm Michael. Welcome on my channel where I share every week my discoveries and my personal journey, especially as an INFP, and I talk about how we can overcome our challenges and grow together. So if you want to be a part of this, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video. About the quarantine, I know it's hard for everybody, but I wanted to talk specifically about INFPs during these times. And what I want to share with you today is a mix of my experience and a mix of what I found on the internet, a bunch of resources that I found. First, I want to share a list of things that we should avoid as INFPs, at least that's what I think, and then I will go on with things that we should do, that we can do to make it easier. So the first item is to avoid to lose structure completely, to tune out the outer world, because for me, like, the quarantine was kind of an excuse to to stay at home, to really immerse in my own thoughts. And I found that it can have a negative impact because INFPs, we naturally tend to focus inward as introverts. So do not take the quarantine as an excuse to become even more focused inward. And that's what I did, and I quickly realized that it wasn't very sane to do so. The second thing that we should avoid, and I'm guilty of it as well, is to use the quarantine to binge watch TV shows. I did because I was seeing all these memes about great, I will have time to watch my favorite TV shows, and all this discussion about having more free time. So it's good to have more free time, but I literally binge watched like an entire season of Vikings, and I quickly realized that it was leaving me feeling like shit. It's not rocket science, but yeah, as I will discuss later in the thing that we should do, you'll see that we need to keep some structure, and we need to keep some productivity and some purpose, not just tune out the outside world and watch TV all day. The third thing that we should avoid is becoming too reflective, because INFPs, we are naturally very reflective, but this situation, like, we have a lot of free time, we are alone, we don't see much people, we have less interaction. It's easy to become even more reflective and be lost in our own thoughts, and that's what happened to me, because we have this tendency of wanting to figure out what this situation means, what to do about it, how do we position ourselves, and I've found that it's really easy to end up lost. So be aware of that and try not to become too reflective, to be too much into your own head. And the final point that I think we should avoid is consuming too much news, because it can make us anxious, and it's not very useful to be constantly immersed in that negative space, like seeing all the time that number of deaths that is growing. We should just watch the news just to be aware of what's going on, to know about the safety measures that we have to implement, but not yet overload our system with all this information. And especially in this time, I feel like our extroverted intuition, our NE, which is also called our exploration system, can be very overloaded. And at least for me, I really felt like I needed to distance myself from all this, like be aware of the situation, but not be immersed in it too much. Like, I had to be thinking about other things to stay sane. So now I want to talk about the thing that we should do as INFPs to improve this quarantine and to make it easier. The first thing, and it's connected to the first item of the previous list, which is do not lose structure, is that self-care is very important. It's very important for INFPs in general, but especially in this time, because we have to be aware that we have a body, we have certain needs that we need to fulfill. And if you don't do the small things like make your bed, or clean your house, yeah, you will feel like shit, because if you're not even capable of doing these small things, you will not feel good about yourself. And that's the first thing. And the other part of self-care that is very important is to be very aware of what you could do right now to improve your condition. Like if you're feeling stressed, maybe you can relax, you can watch a movie, you can meditate. We have to keep an healthy routine, because if you don't, you know, exercise a little, if you don't eat well, you will increase the level of stress. And it's especially important in these times during the quarantine, because it's when you feel stress that you don't want to do all the things, but it's what brings you more peace. And I know that as INFPs, we don't like to have a structure, we don't like to you know, all these routines, but by having experienced it, I found that it's really important to keep a healthy base. The second point is that for INFPs, it's really important to keep a meaning, to keep a purpose in our day-to-day life. Because instead of tuning out the outside world to binge watch TV show, we need to keep that sense of purpose, that sense that we are being useful. That's why sometimes when I have to shoot a YouTube video, it can be, sometimes it's harder, but I'm grateful for it, because it allows me to add value every week, to think about what I can do to contribute to at least, and even if it's to one people, it will be worth it. So yeah, we have to keep that sense of meaning. And what we can do to do that is that we can use our strength as INFPs, because INFPs are amazing at, you know, listening to people, very offering a support, and we are very good at improving and bettering mental health and spreading optimism. So I found that it's something that we can easily focus on, even if it's on a small scale, even if you can just help someone or just support someone emotionally, and to not be overwhelmed. Start with somebody close to you. And the final point is that we should watch our narrative, because honestly, we have the choice here. We can either say and picture in our head pictures of doom and catastrophe, like, oh my god, this is the end of the world, we are all going to die, it's very dangerous, and we can go down that path. Or we can say, okay, I need to protect myself, but it's an opportunity to bring value to people, to be careful and to wait for it to pass, because we know it will pass. We know, like the previous crisis, life will return to normal. So we have a choice here on how to react during this crisis. And yeah, actually another tip that I find is very useful, that is, ask yourself the question, how can I add value during this quarantine? How can I make this period better for everyone, or for just one person? How can I improve my or their condition? And I think that's how you take the opportunity inside a crisis. So that's it. And no, actually there is a final tip that I want to share with you, and it's a playlist that I found, and it's 2 really good videos about how to deal with the crisis, and there is one specifically for INFPs. So I will link the 2 videos here in the card. So watch them if you want, and let me know in the comments if you have seen yourself falling into a trap during this quarantine, if you're struggling with it. What are your tips to overcome your challenges? Do you have any other advice on how to make this quarantine easier? Just tell me in the comments. I'm really curious to know about it, because we are all in this together. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a great day, and I hope these tips will be helpful to make this quarantine a little bit easier. If so, just let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, you know what to do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.